So here's my Castle Grayskull. I bought the Origins one couple of weeks ago, so I sort of put them together like a little fort, and it's been sitting here on my floor a while now. I don't know, I just couldn't put it away. I had to give it a hug today and tell it, no, you do exist, you're real to me. Because that's not what the new show says. They had to totally destroy He-Man. They had to make Castle Grayskull, not just destroy it, but make it have never existed. And I think that's really symbolic for what the series' tensions were. Just before I get into the rest of the video, something I didn't mention, that I forgot to mention, was that one criticism of Teela is correct. A lot of people have been saying that she was totally selfish, that she was totally self-involved, and that she made everything about her. When it's revealed Prince Adam is dead and his parents are mourning his loss, she makes it all about her, about they lied to her, and the show very much makes it about her and her feeling of betrayal, and not about mourning Adam or respecting the fact that he sacrificed himself for all of them and for all of Eternia and the universe and us as well, and everyone. It's all about her and her feeling of betrayal, and it is very self-involved, selfish, small, narrow. That is a huge flaw, and I forgot to mention that, so I just wanted to put that in there before I get into the rest of the video. Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Yeah, I just, as you saw, I had to hug my Castle Grayskull today. I had to let it know that, you know, I still believe in it. It still exists for me. You know, after my childhood has been, you know, assaulted again by Kevin Smith, Kevin Smith is basically a man baby going around smashing other people's toys because he didn't like the shows that they were based on, because he thought they were, when he was a teenager, he thought they were for babies, basically. That's what Revelation is. It's just a bunch of hate for the original show and for the fans of it, and it's so blatant. And I must admit, a lot of the people reacting, they are overacting a bit. Like I tried to watch Midnight's Edges, I think it was 2.5 hours, their live stream about it, but I kind of tuned out when the Iron Man guy, is he Latino? Is his thing. He was drunk and yelling, and they're all drunk and upset and angry, and I get it, I'm upset too, I'm angry too, but there was a lot of gaslighting as well, a lot of saying that they killed He-Man in the first 5 minutes. Some of the people, I don't think they actually watched the episode. They just had been given their talking points, and, you know, they had their arguments set up for the base because they're just feeding their base. That's why they're successful. I'm just an individual giving my individual point of view that not everyone's going to agree with. These people, they have marketed, they know who they're talking to, they know how to incite the anger and get it going, and there was a lot of that, and a bit of misinformation about some of the things. The show did a lot of bad things, but there's some things it didn't do, and they were saying Teela was a bitch, and all these classic misogynistic you know, calls that they were making in that. Yeah, that's just trash. Sarah Michelle Gellar didn't really go a minute without sounding like Buffy, and she's not a good voice actress. They really shouldn't have got someone as recognisable as her to do another character. It really was just miscasting, and that's a real criticism. I'm not walking around saying, oh, she was a bitch, she can't act, she's horrible. No, she just was miscast because she's too established. You can't not hear her voice. She's not, I guess, not skilled enough in her vocal training, I guess, to basically totally disguise her voice and make herself sound like a whole other person. So that's why they probably should have just got another person to play the part. But she did play it well. It's not that. It's just you can't not hear Buffy when you hear her voice, and so that's a fail. Some people are saying the same about Henry Rollins, but frankly, I've barely ever heard him talk. I've been aware of him for years. I've seen him interviewed here and there, but I don't know him well enough to recognise his voice when I hear it. I was really surprised to hear Alan Oppenheimer did Moss Man. I didn't realise. I recognised the voice on some level. I'm like, oh, this guy's done other voice work. I didn't know it was Alan Oppenheimer though. So I was surprised they got him back in the original cast. I hadn't heard that, or didn't register when I read. There are a lot of names in the voice cast. So this is just a little mini video because I just was like, I'm a little traumatized. I'm going to do a proper review of each episode, and I'll try and focus on the issues specific to the episodes with those, and, you know, to continue to vent and they're basically going to be therapy for dealing with this. But it was upsetting. Just sort of wake up on Saturday morning and be like, I remember Saturday mornings there was He-Man. Now He-Man's dead. They gave us a new He-Man on a Friday night. We could have watched it on Saturday morning, and they just killed He-Man, and now we've just got like death and misery. I got a message from a guy saying, look, I bought the original cartoon for my kid. He's going to be seeing that, not this, and I'm like, that's good. They can't erase the original, and they can't erase the memories. They can't erase our childhoods, but they can stop us from revisiting them. And it does make it a little harder to enjoy it when you have the awareness of what they did after this. It does make it a bit harder because when you see this character, that character, oh, this is what they did to them later. Now, knowing that it's a separate universe, it's a reboot, they don't have the license, it's literally not the exact same characters and everything than the Filmation series, it's a little bit easier to watch it. And also, there are now different origins, because that's the other thing they got wrong. I guess this is another general overview and sort of afterthought, but they got some of the origins wrong. They had the origins of some of the toys, the origins from some of the comics, the origins from some of the mini-comics, the origins from some of the later series, and they all had it all mixed up. So it is not a continuation or a sequel of one series. It's just a mess, and it just seems like the people who were making it really weren't familiar with the IP and with the show and the characters. And there's been a little bit of issue with conflicts in the past and trying to work out which is, a true continuity or true origin or whatever. Like Scareglow, people were saying he was basically just a ghost that was being used by Skeletor. Other people were saying it was Skeletor's ghost. He portrays himself as Skeletor's ghost, which makes no sense because Skeletor isn't dead, because his essence is in Evil Lynn's scepter and in the Havoc stuff, and he comes out when the Power Sword is reunited and starts to restore everything. So it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I guess they don't care because it's sort of like when you're dealing with the same sort of writers who wrote Star Trek Discovery. Things don't make sense, and they don't care because they just wanted this moment and that moment and this moment, and they just expect you to watch it and go, wow, and not think and not revisit it to see the issues, because they don't understand fandom. They don't understand you live with these characters and with these worlds, and you escape to them from your real life, and you indulge in them, and you buy and surround yourself with the things that are from this universe to sort of maintain that world that you like. They don't get that, so they don't know how to world build. They don't know how to maintain a world because they're not fans like that, and that's the problem. They're just viewers, and they're going to attract viewers. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, it's great, and I'm like, well, you obviously didn't see the original, you obviously didn't like the original. A lot of people are being political about it, like, oh yes, He-Man had to go, we needed strong, empowered women. I'm like, the original series had strong, empowered women. She-Ra was a strong, empowered woman. She had her own show. You don't need to be neutering and killing He-Man to have those other shows exist. They can exist parallel. We can have men and women both existing equally in the world and in fandom. We don't have to destroy one to promote another. It just doesn't need to be done, but that's the take they're taking on it. I don't know what else to say. I just need to talk about this because it's like I am a little upset. I'm a little shocked. I'm like, wow, they killed He-Man. And they didn't need to, and it's ridiculous. Some people saying, oh, they're going to bring him back, maybe he wasn't really dead, blah blah blah. You can still, in theory, if they get the Power Sword off Skeletor, they can basically give it back to He-Man, blah blah blah. They give it back to Adam and he can be He-Man again. It's not an impossibility, but I mean, if all this is, it just goes back to where it was before it started and it was all just pointless and it doesn't actually, I don't agree with the direction they're going, but if they're creating a new show and a new direction and a new mythology and all that, at least there's some credibility to that. They're wanting to create something, even if it's in spite of and hateful towards the original and us and the fans. At least they're doing something that has some intention. If they just do all this just to turn it all back to what it was in the first place, and it's all just for no reason other than just making people miserable in the meantime and squandering an opportunity to actually continue the original story and give people more of what they used to love to enjoy, then that's just even more maddening. God, what else do people say I didn't agree with? Yeah, just a lot of comments. Like I saw Tyrone Powers, his video. He's not happy. Clownfish Media, of course, they went on for about 50 minutes. And, of course, they are redeemed over and over again because they, like me, came out and said that this was wrong. I did 2 videos. They did a tweet. Obviously, I'm a lot smaller than them, so I didn't get that much attention. I got under 4,000 views. But yeah, so they're still gloating, and they deserve to. Midnight's Edge was a disaster. They did a live stream, and Andre was drunk, and the Iron Man guy. I still can't remember. It's like they say where he comes from, and Iron Man, that's his name. I can't remember where he's from, but he was really drunk and going on, because he was like apparently the only like little brown boy in his like apartment block, but all the kids played with He-Man because they didn't have the whole set, but they all individually had all the toys, so they'd play together, and that was sort of, it was a big thing for him that He-Man was a big part of his childhood. So a lot of people are really upset on that level, and I don't blame them. But then there are the other people who are indeed gaslighting and saying, you know, basically Dylan's a bitch and it's all, you know, we're just man-hating him. Like, it's a little bit more complicated than that, and there are some positive elements to the show, but they're overpowered by the overall point of the show, which was to dismantle and just take the whole series apart and make it all problematic and destroy it, basically, because we can't have it, because apparently we're bad, wrong, toxic men or something, so we can't have the He-Man. They have to destroy it. They can't even leave us with the memory of it. They have to trample over that as well. So the intent behind it and the big choices are the problem, not so much the individual smaller choices, although some of the casting was off, and the animation was really inconsistent. There are times where it looked really beautiful, and other times it just looked like it was done with mouse clicks, and it was really mechanical, and some of the 3D effects were not good and really caught attention to themselves, and they really they just didn't go with the rest of it. But I'm going to go. This is sort of a later reaction after having sat back and listened to a few other people, and just sort of looking at how it's sort of being received by the fan community, and I'm still going to do a proper review of each episode later, because I do need to work through all that. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks. Bye.